Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, the place where health meets real life. I'm your host, Coach Monica, joined by the incredible Coach Darcy. Today, we're here to guide you through the journey of health and weight loss.
That's right, Monica. And today marks the beginning of a very special series dedicated to all the amazing women out there navigating the waters of perimenopause. It's time of transition, transformation, and yes, sometimes challenge. But friend, you are not alone.
Absolutely, Darcy. You know, when I began my own journey with the ketogenic lifestyle, it was about more than just losing weight. It was about finding balance, clarity, and a sense of control during a time that felt anything but controlled. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Now, in full disclaimer, I did not know this process was taking place. But by the end of my journey into maintenance, I understood it.
And we're going to kick things off with an introduction to how a ketogenic lifestyle can benefit women in perimenopause, focusing on hormonal balance and weight management. Whether you're new to keto or looking to deepening your understanding, this episode, my friend, is for you.
Well, are you ready to explore the basics of keto, debunk some myths, and share how it can positively impact hormonal balance and help weight management during perimenopause along the way? Are you ready, Coach?
Absolutely, I am.
Awesome. We are ready to dive in this morning. And let me tell you, just so you know, if you are a man who is listening to our podcast, don't tune us out today because you probably know someone that could benefit from this podcast. And just so you know, Coach, men have hormones too.
They sure do.
So some of the things that we're going to talk about today not only apply to women that are not even in perimenopause yet. We're talking about all things hormones. And so Don't tune us out if you're a man, because number one, you may have a woman who could really benefit from this podcast. And I think that you will find a host of things that we're going to talk about today that will also benefit you. We live in a day and age where hormones are out of control because of the toxic world we live in. And even the men struggle with keeping testosterone and keeping those hormones that they need as well. So this is not inclusive. This is not just within this topic. Feel free to expand your mind and know that we understand that just because we say the word perimenopause doesn't mean that we are exclusively talking inside of a box, right?
Right. And I want to also add for the women that are not in that perimenopause phase just yet. That is me. I am not in that phase yet, but it is super important to learn what to look forward to.
Yeah.
So don't tune us out. We're going to talk about how you can also kind of invest in your future you as you enter into the perimenopause phase.
Well, saving yourself some of the pain that I've walked through. So our listeners have the benefit of having somebody who has wonderfully jumped into perimenopause and someone who hasn't been there just yet. So there may be times that Coach says, "Hey, Monica, could you talk about this a little bit?" And I say, "Hey, Coach, get ready for, this coming." Now, in my personal journey, I have a hormone doctor that I go to because I want to be on top of where I am in the in the perimenopause, menopause world. And so I've had the benefit, and if you have not done this yet and you have a trusted hormone doctor that can give you answers to where you are specifically, they can nail that down. I have the hormones of a 20-year-old right now. And so I have had to do other things, even though my age bracket is perimenopause. I have had to do some things to tone down the estrogen because I am estrogen dominant, and the problems that estrogen dominance brings, and estrogen being a fat storage hormone, it causes a metabolic mess basically.
Yeah.
And so there are things that I have to do, in being the perimenopause age that have had to kind of counter, the hormone factor, because hormone factors are a real thing when it comes to weight loss. Now, a lot of people, I believe, sometimes blame hormones on a lot of things that they're really not doing the ketogenic lifestyle. They're kind of using, well, my hormones are just overwhelmed. PCOS is an example of that. PCOS is a very difficult hormonal situation, but it is not impossible to lose weight. But a lot of women blame PCOS on the fact that they're just not going to try to lose weight, and they're not going to try to do the things we're going to talk about today because we just blame it. It's kind of like the addictions factor that you talked about in the last podcast. Of some people say, well, I'm a food addict, so I might as well not try.
Yeah, the
right?
excuse. Yeah.
So same thing happens with hormones. And we want to make it very, very clear that PCOS is reversible. You can lose weight when you have PCOS. You just may have a little bit more of a difficult time because you've got to fight the hormones, as we do that. So we're going to open the segment 1 here, talking about understanding keto. Okay. So we're going to kind of go back to session 1. If you are with us when we launched our podcast, we're going to kind of revisit section 1. And I think it was the first episode we did. It's what is keto, right?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about, defining it. Darcy, I'm going to ask you to define, what the ketogenic lifestyle is, how, take us back to kindergarten, understanding what keto is, because there's a lot of misunderstandings of what keto is. Like you probably this morning, I can imagine what you did for breakfast. You got a stick of butter out of your refrigerator, and you put a little popsicle stick in, and you were licking that all morning, and you had a pound of bacon this morning, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
Absolutely. Absolutely not. I do know of people that believe wholeheartedly that if they eat a stick of butter a day, that is why you lose the fat. Like, it's not, let's like bring it down a little bit, knowing that, yes, grass-fed butter is very helpful for your journey. But the ketogenic lifestyle is, in fact, a high fat, moderate protein, lower carb lifestyle. And when we say all of those, it makes people cringe because they think that we don't eat any carbs. But in fact, foods in general, like your whole foods, they have carbs in it. And we're not talking about bread. We're not talking about sugar. We're talking about broccoli and cauliflower, things like of that sort. And even eggs have some carbs. Like, so,
they do.
We can't go zero carbs unless we just were carnivore and only ate meat. And that's not necessarily what we do.
Yeah. So that's a misunderstanding, as we eat no carbs.
Right. And there's a proper ratio, a ketogenic ratio and a macro is those nutrients that are broken down into proteins, fat, and what I miss, carbs and calories. I think calories is included in that. Those things
packaged right up in there.
That is a macro. And then just this side note, a micronutrient is even that. It is those nutrients inside of those foods. So that is just a side note. So we have a certain ratio for and that's usually, what is that? I forget. Is it a 35%? What it is for your? It is for your
it is 5, 20, and 75%. That is the official ketogenic ratio. Now, we listen to our clients during each session, and we put our clients, like, for example, I give my perimenopause women, I give them 25% protein. And so we don't mess with the carb ratio, but we do mess around with the protein, and we mess around with the fat ratio. So that is what the ketogenic lifestyle is. And basically, this is all it's all centered around the stage villain insulin. Okay, so basically this lifestyle is based around insulin. Insulin is the fat storage hormone in the body. Now, you have to have insulin in order to live, right? But what has happened these days, and with the lifestyle that we live right now, is we have turned to ultra processed foods, to sugar, to flours, to all of those things. We've turned to those things, and we have created what is called insulin resistance, which means, if we actually posted this podcast a couple of weeks ago, this means that you have too much insulin, and your cells can't hold any more insulin. So it turns it away, it locks the door, puts it out, and that's where you get the big belly fat. That's where you get the menopause belly. That's where you get all of those things. It's based around insulin resistance. And so what we do with the ketogenic lifestyle is we reverse that. You can reverse insulin resistance. And by the way, insulin resistance shows up 10 years before you are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So all of these things, these metabolic health markers and these things go hand in hand together and create a metabolic mess if you don't get it under control. And so when we talk about weight loss, a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. You lose weight on a calorie deficit, right? So you lose weight based on the calories. Right. Now, calories are not all of the same. They are different, right? The calories of a Snickers bar is different than a calorie from an apple. But a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. What you and I are focused on with our clients is fixing the metabolic health issues, which is causing all of the diseases like type 2 diabetes, PCOS, all of those things. So our formula that we give our clients in that macro ratio fixes the metabolic issues, which will help you as someone who is not in perimenopause. It will help you prepare your body so that you can go to perimenopause and not have the alien experience that most women experience with the hot flashes, with the hormones, with all of those things, the menopause belly, all of those things. And so if we can get your health under control, we will, with the ketogenic lifestyle, we will be able to help ease you into the wonderful world of menopause. So that's a little bit about the ketogenic lifestyle. We get rid of the ultra processed foods. We get rid of the sugars, the flours. And because we're doing that, because we're lowering the carbs, it stops the insulin spikes and stops and reverses the insulin resistance. Okay.
Right.
We talked a little bit about the common myths. Do you want to kind of take that? We joked about it, I would say.
We did.
Talk to us a little bit about what some of those common myths of keto are.
So the number one is obviously, we are low carb and we don't have any carbs, that we eat sticks of butter, that we are just fueling our body with these foods that don't have any nutrients. That's very nutrients dense, even though we are, all of this is not legit. We are actually eating our fruits and vegetables. We are eating our meats and our proteins, things like that. It all comes down to a balance.
It's not unlimited meat like the Atkins diet.
It's not.
Right.
No.
There's no unlimited anything.
Right. Right. Gosh, it's been a while since there's a lot of misinformation out there on the interwebs. The newest one that cracks me up is the fasting and how that causes heart. Even though fasting is a little separated from keto, we still practice fasting. But how it causes heart disease. They will pull anything out of the bucket to make something sound terrible. That's actually healthy. So those are like the top ones I can think of.
I was kind of glad when they came out with that crazy study, because even the person who has never been in nutrition a day of their life understand the fact that if you narrow your eating window down to 8 hours a day versus eating 24/7, it heals heart disease, not causes it. And so they overextended their hand. And on the left, if you think politically, on the left side and the right side of the political scheme, both of those sides always pull an extra, they always pull that extra dose of crazy, and they're discredited.
Right, how far can we take this?
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly. How far can we take this?
It's like a pendulum.
Let's
and then
add
the pendulum.
Yes. And so let's just add to see if we add a goat in here. Like, what would happen if we said goat licking your face will cause
Exactly.
you
It's
to lose
crazy.
weight? Like,
It's
that's just a
crazy
weird random
town.
thought.
It is crazy town, I tell you, and
Yeah.
we probably should pull out our soapbox noise for this one, but it really is. But it scares people because people do take that
Yeah.
seriously, and they run with it. Whenever something like that comes out, immediately my inbox is full of people that say, "Hey, Monica, did you see that? Did you see that article on sweeteners? Did you see that article on fasting?" And I always give them one answer. And every single time when they do what I tell them to do, they come back and they say, "Oh no, I understand." What I tell them is
Yeah.
go look at who sponsored that article. It's money. It's
Yeah.
all about money, So
So true.
there are a lot of common myths about keto, but there's also, as we move into segment 2 today on the keto and the hormone balance, there's also just as much misinformation and scariness when it comes to hormones and perimenopause because it's not talked about a lot. For so long, doctors have not listened to women when they come into the doctors and say, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with me. I feel like an alien has entered my body. I don't feel rational anymore. I feel like I'm losing control over the only thing that I have known my entire life, which is my own body. And I feel like I'm broken." And doctors to date now, thankfully, this is changing because women are taking back control over the conversation. But what's happened in the past is doctors have said, "Oh, it's normal. It's normal. You're going to get hot flashes. You're going to go through all of these things and you are completely normal." When the fact of the matter is, when you go into the ketogenic lifestyle and you fix your hormones and you fix your metabolic symptoms and you fix the inside, you don't have to go through these things. And sometimes, maybe there is a hot flash or two that you're going to have to go through, but you have the power to say, "No, actually, I'm going to change my trajectory and I am going to fix what I'm eating, what I'm feeding my body." And they understand the impact of sugar. They understand the impact of ultra processed foods. They understand the impact of hormone infused meat. They understand that and they're taking control back. And so, yeah, we can expect changes during perimenopause. You can expect to have a harder time losing weight. Is it impossible? No, it's not. But what women do when they get into the stage of when they get their belly is what they call it. When they get that, they go into something called panic and they starve themselves. And what happens when they starve themselves is they remove those nutrients, they remove those things that the body needs, the fats, the healthy fats, they remove that and they go into starvation mode and it magnifies the perimenopause symptoms. And then they wonder why, when they go back to eating normal again, because they have starved themselves, why they're regaining the weight. And so instead of going with those changes and understanding the impact of those hormones to what we're eating, they go the opposite way. And so what we want to do when we talk about keto and perimenopause is we want to change that hormonal imbalance. We want to change that by what we feed it. The healthy fats, the lowering of the insulin response to our bodies fixes the metabolic issues like PCOS. We fix the root of those diseases, and every other doctor, every other suggestion out there has said, treat the symptoms, treat the disease, treat the PCOS, treat the obesity. We're treating the root cause of those metabolic issues by changing our lifestyle to the ketogenic way of eating. And so those hormonal imbalances, everything drops. Okay. So Darcy, you're living in the prime right now. You've got all the hormones you need. You've got all of those things that you need. As you get older and as you enter perimenopause, you start to see those levels drop. And when those levels drop, when the estrogen drops, when the testosterone drops, when all of those things, that is when we experience all of those hormone, those mood swings, those hot flashes, all of those things. And it's been proven that the ketogenic lifestyle can help assist so that you don't have to go through those things, so that you fix those metabolic issues, right?
Right. And for me, since have been addressing this since being on keto, I've been addressing balancing my hormones before I hit perimenopause, and I'm doing certain things at certain times during my cycle, not only tracking what my cycle even looks like, because all the data is helpful. This is helping my cycles become so much better, where I hardly bloat before. Like, yes, I will have certain symptoms, like you say, that those will tend to come around. But it's not near as what it used to be when I was, not eating keto. And then even when I was eating keto and I wasn't doing the certain suggestions that we talk about, before that, like it just turned it around, like everything, even between my skin issues, everything just kind of balanced itself out. So,
and to balance it out, just so that we can explain to our listeners, you eat different things during different seasons of your cycle. And I do the same with my perimenopause clients too. They're on the same program as you are. Except they don't experience the cycle part, right? And so, or it's very, very irregular. But basically, we take the seasons of your cycle, the luteal phase, all of those days, like 10 days before your bleed cycle. You're eating different things than, say, our men in the program do, because certain times of the month your hormones need hormone feeding. You're building estrogen. You're building progesterone. There's a reason why you get hangry and crave chocolate the week before your cycle. It's because your hormones are saying, I need to be in control. I need to know everything's okay. And I need to build progesterone. Progesterone is the everything is okay hormone. And
calm,
So you feed those based on where you are in your cycle. You feed those with hormone feeding foods. In some of our clients, that includes potatoes. That includes upper carbs, right? That includes those things, and you're feeding those hormones so you can build progesterone, so you can back off the estrogen. And so there's a reason why you go through these cycles. And what I take my clients through in the perimenopause world is we go by the moon phases. So you go by your cycle. We go by the moon phases, which is a 31-day cycle. So the same thing applies to our women. They feel better, and they don't even sometimes know that they're getting their cycle anymore. Right.
And then some of the women that I work with that are battling with PCOS, even just within a month of doing this, they have seen a difference in their cycle where they are not necessarily regular yet. Things aren't normal, but they are starting to see a glimpse of, oh, well, I am being a little bit more consistent. Yeah. And, going on month 3 to 4, you definitely see that difference of consistency and not having the pain. And it's amazing what this can do for anyone who is, even perimenopausal, even menopausal.
Yeah. So much so that we've had to put an actual warning on our program that says keto babies may be a possibility, because I have had women come to us who have not ovulated in 8 years, and the first 2 months on the program, they're pregnant. And so we've had to put a label on our program that says, hey, just so you know, you may be extra fertile around these times, because when you feed your body right, you end up your hormones align. It's all about hormone alignment. So, hey, Darcy, when we come back, we're going to talk about keto for weight management. So we talked about keto and hormone balance. And by the way, if you have any questions on this hormone balance, talk to your coach, talk to Coach Darcy or myself about the Keto for Women program. Now, it's a very strict program that we do not accept women into this unless you've taken unless you know how to do keto, because there are some risk factors as far as being taken off, trigger foods and things like that. We've worked out the kinks, and we have a prerequisite for this program, but it has changed the lives. I know I have a client right now who's lost now 50 pounds, and that's where she began, was the hormone feeding program that we had. So when we come back, we're going to kind of turn the engine over here to keto for weight management. So keto and hormones, it is a beautiful process of healing when it comes to getting those ultra processed foods out of your body. But then keto for weight management is what we're going to talk about when we come back from break. Okay. it's Coach Monica here. Guess what? If you're fed up with feeling stuck in your battle with weight or food, I've got something just for you. Check out our free Facebook groups. Over at Food Addiction and Recovery, I'm over there waiting for you. We're going to walk this journey together. It's about getting real, sharing our stories, and lifting each other up. We're in this together every step of the way. And if you're curious about changing your life with keto, the Weight Loss Project is where you want to be. Coach Darcy is amazing. And together, we're not just talking about losing weight. We're talking about finding a happier, healthier you. So, what do you say? Are you ready to join us? The links are in the show notes below, and I'm telling you, this is more than an invite. It is the start of something great. We cannot wait to see you over there. All right, welcome back. Hey, yes, if you would love some free coaching, if you would love ideas, tips, plans, all of that stuff, find us over on our free Facebook groups. That's where Coach Darcy and I spend a lot of time over there. So head over to Food Addiction Recovery and the Weight Loss Project are really, really good groups for you to come and be a part. And maybe you're just not even sure if this lifestyle is for you yet. You could find a lot of help over there. So we want to welcome you over there. Go find us and say hi. Say, hey, heard you on our podcast, because we always want to know where you find us. So we're going to move into the section of this program where we talk about weight loss and the ketogenic lifestyle when it comes to hormones. And this is something that is so frustrating for women during this season of their life because weight gain is common during this time. And it stems from a combination of things like changes in our reproductive hormones, our body composition, and sometimes even genetics play a factor as well. But when we get to that stage in life, sometimes, number one, we have been told that we might as well just accept it, that the menopause belly is normal and that you're just going to gain weight. And we've just kind of gotten to a season where we're like, well, we were told it was going to happen, so I might as well just tolerate it, just be with it, just go through it because there's no hope for me. And that's what we want to talk about today, that is not the case. You don't just have to go with it. If you are willing to change your lifestyle, you can live the best life you have lived. I mean, I feel better today than I did during my childbearing years because of what we've done to change our hormones. There are certain foods that feed estrogen. There's certain foods that feed testosterone. There's certain foods that either complement or hurt our hormones. And so that's what we do when we align our hormones with the ketogenic lifestyle. It helps us to kind of go with it. It just, like Coach Darcy said earlier, she doesn't even know when her cycle's coming anymore. And it used to be a big deal, right? But it is so powerful. All of our bodily functions or our weight gain, all of the weight loss, all of that has to do with hormones. It's all hormones. Insulin is the number one fat storing hormone that we have. And so everything is based around insulin and aligning those hormones. So Darce, what are some of the tips that you give both your perimenopause, because you have perimenopause clients as well as your cycling ladies? What are some of the tips that you give them when they come to you and say, Coach, I feel like an alien's taken over my body, or my cycles are really, really hard and I just feel off? What are some of the tips that you give them when they come to you?
I have that come often outside of my coaching, where women are going through. It's like they're going through this door of change, and they're just in panic. And so, I first tell them, it comes down to what you are consuming, and the balance of it with going very simple, very clean type of keto. This is going to be beneficial for cleaning up the insides of their body, and then after that, I always say, make sure that you are tracking, collecting all this data on yourself, so that you are seeing the patterns. You see, what your body is, maybe what you could possibly see what cycle that you are entering. And if you have obviously had everything taken out, you then in your area, then no, you're not going to be able to necessarily find that. But you can still follow a monthly plan like we've been talking about throughout this, where you're going simple keto. You're getting out all those sugars. You're getting out all of those oils, the inflammation causing oils, that is, and just starting very simple and basic like that.
Yeah, because it's all based around, everything we do is based around hormones. And so when you get to this stage of life, and even the cycling ladies, when you alter the levels of your sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone, this can decrease insulin sensitivity, which will impair your body's ability to use insulin effectively. So not only are you losing those naturally, but when you do that, it alters those sex hormones and makes insulin sensitivity a thing. And that's what really, really ramps up that insulin resistance that we talk about a lot, because your body is just not knowing what to do with all of that insulin. And that's when we get the menobelly. That's when we get the insulin resistant belly that we talk about a lot. And so it's all based around hormones.
Yeah.
And imagine if you can lower your insulin responses, which is what the ketogenic lifestyle does. When you lower those insulin responses, that automatically reverses that insulin sensitivity, reverses that menobelly. Also, it is important to note that our caloric needs change. Our metabolism naturally slows down during this phase of our life. And if we don't go along with that, we can be eating, either under eating or overeating based on what our hormones are doing. And so that's really, really important to know. In one of our future upcoming podcasts, we're going to talk about, quieting the food noise and how to quiet that food noise. And that is something, when we're going to talk about understanding mindful eating, that is one of the really, really important things as we switch phases of life, to understand why our body's doing what it's doing. Why am I feeling hungry all the time? Is it a craving? Is it real hunger? What is it? But so just kind of slowing down the mindful thinking of understanding, okay, I'm feeling really, really hungry right now. Why am I feeling really, really hungry? Is it real hunger, or is it emotional eating? Are my hormones speaking for my body at this point? And so mindfulness is one of the most important things when it comes to transferring or transitioning from one life to kind of your next phase of life. And so all of these things are normal. And if we just slow down and think about it, before we change a lifestyle, think about what's happening with me right now. We don't even think about that anymore.
And the other thing that we don't really think about is the importance of sleep, and also the exercise. Those things are feeding into those other hormones, because we, like you said, our bodies are full of so many different types of hormones, and there's obviously highlighting hormones, but we forget about the serotonin, the dopamine, the things that spike when you are not getting good quality sleep, or that when you are exercising, it heightens this certain type of hormone. So you needing to balance those hormones out by making sure that, I'm not staying up late at night watching, binge watching my games, or the games, women watching games, they could be, but my
I did
shows,
this week.
I did too. That's why I think it's been on my mind.
Go Purdue.
But just, we can catch yourself being off guarded, and also the stress that we also are causing our bodies to have with the extra things that we put on our plate. So all of those things, as well as our food balance, cause these certain hormones to be either increased or decreased.
Yeah.
So we like to encourage our clients to track and making sure that they are using the word no, or,
Yeah.
whatever it's going to take for them to balance those certain hormones.
Yeah. I was reading a study on, it was on the Healthline website, and it said this. It said studies have found that decreasing carb intake may help prevent weight gain associated with menopause. For example, one study in over 88,000 women found that following a low carb diet was linked to a decreased risk of postmenopausal weight gain. Conversely, following a low-fat diet was tied to an increase of weight gain among participants. So it is found because of the lifestyle, because it helps curb the cravings, it helps reduce the insulin response, which is the fat storage hormone. It actually will speed up your metabolism, and you're able to burn more fat in the postmenopausal years. As well as, I think it's important to also note that our style of movement, our style of exercise should change during these seasons of our life, where
Right.
maybe cardio served us well in the past. During the perimenopause age, resistance training is what you want to switch to because of the decreased muscle mass that we experience in these years. And so don't get what I'd like to say about this is, don't get a single-minded focus when it comes to what happens when your body changes, or what happens,
Right.
like what worked for you in the past may not work for you now in this present. And so it's so important to learn about your body. Don't just take what the news tells you. Don't just take what your doctor tells you. Study it for yourself. Live it for yourself, and discover your own body for your own self.
And it's funny that's not funny. It's interesting that you say that, because, I remember, doing everything that keto tells you to do. I lost the weight, and then I was starting to exercise. And when I entered into that world, I noticed that I got strong. I could really, have that grit that you needed for exercising. And then there was this one week where I felt like I was worthless. I felt like, what is wrong with me? I just, last week I was able to lift 20 pounds, and now I feel like I can only do 5 reps of 5 pounds. So you become your body's like switching over, and I couldn't explain it. But then after I learned about how, the week before your cycle, or the week before, you're scheduled to have a cycle, your body's, that's the time that you need to give yourself grace. So when you are adding exercise, that is the week that, no, you shouldn't be doing cardio. You shouldn't be doing heavy lifting either. You should be just, taking it easy. You should be walking, maybe doing something low key, and give yourself grace, because, those things, there's no fasting. Yeah. And I was doing everything opposite. That is also the week that you'll notice that like Monica was talking about, your cravings are heightened, and you are not broken. That's normal. Like, just because you're on a so-called quote unquote diet and you're having these cravings, there's a reason for that. So when Monica's saying, listen to your body, listen to it. It's telling you stuff, and you're not broken. You just need to feed it the right things at the right time. It's all about the timing. It's all about the balance of all of that. So that is my 2 cents.
Yeah. One of my favorite influencers or doctors that I follow is Dr. Mindy Peltz. And we don't agree on everything, but she has a very, very good hormonal feeding program that we put our clients through. In fact, I asked her for permission if we could use her program for some of our ladies, because it is so informative. When she explains the different cycles that we have put ourselves on, and like you said, we have been feeling guilty for the week before a period, saying, I just want chocolate. Well, there's a reason why your body is saying, I want chocolate. It's because you are building progesterone during that time, and that's the okay hormone. And we have fought it, and we have allowed shame and guilt to sneak in. So what we do with our clients is we teach them how to eat the chocolate. right? We do ingredients transfers. We do, okay, well, we're not going to put sugar in our bodies, but what about Lily's chocolate during those times? What about, what about giving in and saying, you know what, I'm going to go with my body because it's saying this. This is when we put a potato in during that cycle, during that phase of the cycle, and then we don't do hard workouts. The first 10 days, you've got certain times of the month where you can double your workout impact based on your hormones. And then other times of the month where you're like, we got to back off because our body is trying to say everything's fine and we need to hormone feed. We need to back off of that exercise. There's times of the month that we do not fast, because it's pointless to fast during those times. So our bodies are beautiful. The creator of the universe knew exactly what he was doing. And when we listen to our bodies and we listen and we say, okay, all right, let's take a step back. Let's get the diet culture out of our minds and let's go with the hormones. We realize that I'll speak for myself. I've realized that the ketogenic diet is the best way to live our lives. And then the side effect of it all, you lose weight. Right? You don't have to deal with the menopause belly. You don't have to deal with all of those things. But that is our show for today. We have had a lot of questions that have been sent to us, and please feel free. We are happy to answer any questions. Feel free to reach out to us through our website. Message Coach Darcy, message myself. You'll find our information in the show notes. But one of the biggest questions, and here's what we're going to leave because we said we'd answer questions from the audience. And I'm just going to give you one that came through my inbox is, Monica, I feel like an alien. I feel like my lifestyle is out of control. I am eating 800 calories a day and I'm gaining weight. Please help me. That is the number one question that we get and the number one problem we get as a client enrolls in our program. I'm eating 800 calories a day and I'm gaining weight. Why is that? So we're going to end the show by answering that question. Okay. Why is it you're gaining weight on an 800 calorie diet? It's because your body has metabolically adapted. The reason why it's adapted is because the creator of the universe put in our bodies a life-saving technique called homeostasis, because he knew that there were going to be times of fasting, times of feasting. And he knew he needed to keep us alive during the times of fasting. And so he created this thing called metabolic adaptation. Metabolic adaptation says, okay, we're going through a starving time. We're going through a famine time. So I am going to do double the work to keep you alive. I am going to adapt your metabolism way down so that you don't need very much to burn anything, slowing the metabolism way down. And so when you overeat, your body says, okay, I'm going to store this for future use because I know you're going to starve me tomorrow. I'm going to hold on to this fat cell because you're going to starve and I'm going to keep you alive. And so our metabolism adapts at 800 calories. Well, if you look at Darcy, when you go to, let's say when you go to Culver's, right? What is the average caloric, eating keto style, what is the average caloric intake when you just have a normal meal at Culver's or Texas Roadhouse? Go wherever you want. What is the average caloric intake, even eating healthy? You don't go to Culver's. Just your average fast food.
I don't go to Culver's. I'm going to say approximately probably 800 to, if you're thinking of
just
steak
normal
and butter and all
food.
that.
Yeah. Your normal average food is at least a minimum 1,200.
Yeah, 800,000.
Oh, 800,000? Oh,
yeah.
No, yeah. Well, that's...
No, 800,000. 1,000 to 800, depending on what you have.
It's way over that. The average meal, when you put a steak, broccoli, salad with the dressing, is at least 1,200 to 1,500 calories. I
like to divide my food.
Well, the problem is people think that, Darcy. They think I'm eating healthy and they think, oh, this is only 800. No. Add it up. Put it in your chronometer. An average meal, when you go to Texas Roadhouse or you go to an average meal and you eat healthy, average is the minimum is 1,200 calories. So
I clearly need to go out to eat more.
I'm like, as she was saying that, I'm like, panic is in my eyes. I'm like, oh no, sister, No, minimum 1,200 calories. So you've got an adapted person at 800 calories and they go for a normal, healthy meal. 1,200 calories is minimum. So they gain weight. That is why they gain weight, is because a normal meal, you can't eat 800 calories every day and stay alive. And so they eat normally and then they panic and they're like, gosh, why am I gaining weight? It's because you're eating over your adapted metabolism. And so then we have to bring in the reverse diet. So that is the number one question that our clients give us is, why am I gaining weight when I eat over 800 calories? And then they start to track, and we ask them to track accurately. And we ask them to track, okay, how many ounces of ribeye did you eat? And they were like, oh my gosh, I ate 1,700 calories at that meal. And I assumed that it was 800, right? So metabolic adaptation is the number one reason why our clients are frustrated. And that's the number one question we get is why? So our response to that is we got to reverse your diet. We got to reverse your diet and we got to fix your metabolism. And then when you bring perimenopause into that and you bring menopause into that, you have a whole host of other factors that we have to count, right? So that's our show for the day. We encourage you, if this has helped you, would you subscribe and would you leave us a comment on our reviews on Apple and Spotify? It really, really helps the algorithm. It helps get our message out there to people that need this message to know that they are not broken. They are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. Once we figure out what's going on with your body, you can actually thrive during the season of your life. So join us every Tuesday. We drop a new podcast every Tuesday morning, and we'll continue to do so as long as this is helpful to you. And on Thursdays, Coach, we put a replay, it's called Thursday Encore, of our Tuesday live sessions, which sometimes can be kind of goofy. Because when you bring live into a podcast, anything can happen. Totally anything can happen. So we hope you find this helpful and hope that you leave us a review and join us next Tuesday as we put out another podcast. We'll talk to you next week.